Right, so welcome to another episode of the Entitled Wrestling Podcast, but a special part of the show that we've called Getting to Know You, where we give you, the listeners, a little bit of an insight into your host's favourite matches, favourite tag teams, favourite wrestlers, favourite pay-per-views. This week, in honour of Animal of the Legion of Doom passing away, we are doing our top 3 favourite tag teams of all time. So, Jay, I'll come to you first, in no particular order. Name one of your favourite, one of your top 3s.
Might as well go straight with the Road Warriors, mightn't I?
Of course.
Seeing as we chose to do this because of Animal. Yeah, so to go back to last week, the reason I love the Road Warriors is when I was talking about how I got into wrestling last week, they were one of the first things I saw from wrestling, was them with the big shoulder pads with the spikes coming out, the faces painted, the mohawks. They looked like cartoon villains, but in a cool way. I've just put here, big meaty men who slap meat. They literally, they were so fucking good as well. Like,
yeah, they were awesome.
You look at them and think they were just a powerhouse team. Yeah. But so there was 2 matches I thought to recommend to people to go see, to seek out them doing something a bit different. And the one I went for was their match from Starrcade 1987 against Aaran Anderson and Tully Blanchard for the NWA tag team titles. I literally watched it this morning just to rewatch it, and it still holds up today. Like it's such a good match. It's only short. It's only about maybe 12-15 minutes at most. I won't say the finish for anyone who wants to go check this match out, but it shows like another dimension to the Road Warriors, where they're selling more, they're getting worked over, and then you can't talk about the Road Warriors without talking about the Road Warrior pop.
Yeah, man.
When their music hits, the only person who had a bigger pop back then was Hogan.
Yeah.
Like, they were literally the most over fucking
top
thing
guys.
because people just wanted to see them come out and murder people.
Yeah.
Which for the most part they did. Obviously, the Doomsday Device is one of the most iconic finishing moves in wrestling, not just tag team finishing moves.
It's that iconic. People just do it as basic moves nowadays.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
It's a shame, but
I see what you mean. Like, it's a shame in that it's just used as kind of not a basic move, but it's not a finishing move. When it's so iconic as a finishing move.
It should be a finishing move.
Yeah.
And then there's the stuff as well where the one thing I always remember when I first saw them was Hawk got pile driven and he just no-sold it. He just gets back up. And they say, oh yeah, it's because he's got such a strong neck, it doesn't affect him. But yeah, they were just a pair of meat castles. They'd fucking murder people.
Meat castles. Like a walking butcher's.
Yeah. And you see a lot of teams like that, of that ilk today, like Authors of Pain, to a degree, the Butcher and the Blade, of just big guys who just throw people around, and it's one you don't really see much of these days, because obviously the times have changed. But
of course,
they're just iconic. They're awesome.
I don't think there's any arguing or disputing that at all, and I think they'd be in the majority of people's top tag teams. They're awesome. Like, similar to you, they always stood out to me as being just like comic book looking characters. Like, remember Biker Mice from Mars, and they had the kind of the spikes on the top, and I always thought, oh yeah. I think Biker Mice from Mars was a little bit after, but that always kind of reminded me. They're so good, and the dynamic between them, like you say, like both big kind of meat castles, but also like both pretty quick as well. It wasn't like kind of Authors of Pain or similar kind of tag teams of that ilk, where they're just massive guys that chuck each other about. Like, they were both really quick and really agile as well.
Yeah, they were very high octane, is the way like they get described a lot. Where you see, like, as I say, the match I picked was against Aaran Anderson and Tully Blanchard, who are 2 phenomenal wrestlers again. Yeah, an amazing tag team. I'd say the Brainbusters are an honourable mention for sure.
Right.
But like that match, They're literally they're overpowering them, but they're also like quick about it.
Yeah.
And it takes Aaron and Tully like having to figure out a way to stop them, where it's basically working over the knee of Hall. But yeah, so good. And then whenever Animal made a hot tag, it was like, oh fuck, business picking up now.
Shit's kicking off. I remember my first memory of them was their entrance at SummerSlam at Wembley when they came down on the motorbikes down the Long Island. I was like, that looks fucking incredible. Like the spectacle that was Wembley anyway, and that huge entrance ramp. And they came down with what's his name?
Aaran.
That's it, Paul Ellering. And they had what was the funny little mascot thing he had on the front?
Rocco,
yeah.
Weird ventriloquist dummy that
was it.
Put with him.
But yeah, that was my earliest memory of them, and just thinking, fucking hell, they look like proper badasses. Really,
I think with the Road Warriors as well. Like, so when I was a kid, it was like all like the WWE stuff that I saw. But then as I've got older, I've like kind of gone back and revisited like the NWA stuff where they weren't like as cartoony. They were more just like, we're tough bastards. And I remember like reading a story about like, in fact, no, it was on the Broken Skull sessions, the Undertaker one, where he's talking about when he was like still like quite young in the business, and he was in a tag team called, I think it was called the Skyscrapers.
Oh yeah,
in WCW, and he had a match with the Road Warriors, and I can't remember. I think he worked a bit too stiff, and Undertaker was like shitting himself because he was like, Hawk and I'm not going to kill me. But that's the thing. The reputation like precedes them. Like so cool, so good,
awesome, nice man. Aaron, was one of your picks,
right? So the rules to this was none of us have the same. Okay, we made sure none of us have the same.
Did we? So, I hope so.
I hope so.
We sorted it.
Yeah. So it's a case of I've tried to go a bit, not the obvious choices is what I've went for, really. Right? So my first one is my favourite tag team at the moment, which I'm going to say is Kenny Omega and Hangman, which was at the moment.
Okay.
I tried to do something similar with this, but I couldn't find anything anything between.
It's an interesting choice.
It all started off as they were both having shite times, like losing streaks, losing to Jericho on pay-per-view main events, big matches. So we're like, oh, we'll try working together in the tag team division. It'd be a case of, it started off with a shite match against Spears and Sabian, but then they went up in the rankings all the way to number 1, got their match for the world title at whatever it was.
Cruise, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jericho Cruise tape-ins, that's what it was. Won the AEW tag titles together with against SCU, sorry. And then Hangman gets the gimmick of being an absolute drunken bum. No other way to describe it. Just an absolute drunken bum. But Kenny's always there to help him out. Kenny's always there to save the day. And then it kept going like that, and then you had your Bucks match. Your Young Bucks versus Hangman and Omega,
that was a tremendous match.
Which is my match to watch for this, by the way. That illustrated whatever stars it was, Meltzer gave it. I can't even remember. 6. There you go.
Wow. Okay.
And then obviously recent history, they started teasing away, just splitting up, like falling out with each other a lot. And then it got to this match versus FTR at the most recent pay-per-view. And then they kept working together, but they didn't really want to. And then at the very end, they lose. Omega just goes, right, I'm done now. And
that is dummy.
Yeah. To this day, the storyline is still going, and I'm fucking loving it.
It's a really good story, to be fair. I had a big gripe about these being put as a tag team when it first happened.
So did everyone. No one gave them the time of day until
because they've got that tag division, and they were putting the belts on 2 guys who were just thrown together. I was like, what are they fucking doing? But the story work they've done has been fantastic. even when you... Oh, go on, man.
No, go on.
Even when, like, you look at how it's kind of, like, organically changed over time. So after the Bucks and the Bucks match, at the end, Hangman's teasing that he's going to turn on Kenny.
Yeah.
And then...
I say it wasn't just one way, it was both of them teasing.
Yeah.
Oh, it could have gone either way,
each other, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
And then it's kind of like organically, because Hangman got more and more over.
Right.
It kind of organically went from Hangman's going to be the one to turn on Kenny to Kenny's got to be the one to turn on Hangman.
Oh, okay.
And it's been a very, very well told story.
Technically, there's still not been a turn. Technically,
there hasn't. No, but it's clear as fucking day. It's going to be Kenny.
Cool.
Yeah, very impressive team, though.
Yeah.
What is it about them as a tag team? I know you've mentioned, like, you know, their storyline, the way they were thrown together, and their sort of slow building storyline, and they eventually became like a, you know, really loved tag team. And in the grand scheme of things, say, for example, like someone like the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, and obviously they kind of long storied past. And Hangman and Kenny don't have kind of a long thing.
Yeah.
My first question was, have they tagged before in any other organisation, or is this the first kind of iteration we've seen as them as a tag team? And
I think this is, even when they were in Elite together, like the Bullet Club and stuff, I don't think they had like 2-on-2s.
Right.
They might
no, it was always
six
like
mans and things.
There was always 6 mans, yeah.
Yeah, but they were never just together, the two of them. But
because oh god,
it's just a case of like, I've never been a tag team guy in wrestling. Brought up as a child, Vince McMahon didn't really care about tag team wrestling, so why?
Still doesn't now.
He still doesn't now, so why should I?
Fair enough. Okay, interesting choice.
AEW has brought a new fire to tag team wrestling.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think the thing that is so appealing about the Hangman Kenny stuff is that they even like addressed that it was a bit thrown together. But then the fans have kind of watched them grow as a team for like the last been about 9-10 months, since January.
Yeah.
So you've become more invested because you're seeing them getting better and better as a team each week.
Right.
And then obviously they started off with no like real double team moves, and then they ended up kind of creating a finisher, and there was a bit of tease of dissension with like Hangman being a pisshead, and then Kenny starts drinking chocolate milk with him, and like them go in the bar and all that.
Shock.
And yeah, it's definitely it's a very compelling story to kind of revisit as well.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So the AEW mark is now gone. That's it, by the way. There you go. You don't have to listen to AEW constantly now.
My first choice, not in any particular order, but I've got down the Acolytes, or the APA, as they later became. And I think when their first kind of iteration as a tag team was part of was it the Ministry?
Yeah.
With the Undertaker.
Yeah. No, were they on their own first?
No, they were brought in. They were managed by the Jackal Don Callis.
Yeah.
Briefly, and then they shown up as part of the Ministry.
That's it. And they had the symbols all kind of painted on their chest and stuff, and they were kind of like the sort of pseudo satanic kind of like henchmen of the Undertaker. I always liked that Ministry thing. I always thought it was quite kind of dark and cool. I think I went through a brief goth stage and listened to a bit of Marilyn Manson and thought, they look cool. I'll latch onto them. But then I like one thing that always stood out. I remember, seeing like Farouk's older stuff, like when he became like
WCW champ.
World champ, like years and years before. And so I was
first African American.
Yeah, and I was aware of him, but didn't know anything about Bradshaw before that. And then suddenly saw them kind of together in there. But then after that, after kind of the Ministry kind of fizzled out, and then they became the APA, and that's when I really liked them, because it was just like badasses for hire. And I love their whole gimmick where they'd just sit backstage and just play cards, drink beer and smoke cigars. And they'd have the fake door where people could just a door frame that people would come through.
And if anyone dare not go through that door, they were swiftly told to go.
I love that they were like they kayfabed the door.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You didn't walk through the door.
Do it again.
You're not going to argue with them because they're harder.
Exactly.
Fuck,
and that's what I loved about. I know Bradshaw gets a bit of a bad rep for being at times like quite a stiff like guy, and you know this, that, and the other.
Stiff guy.
Like, you know, there's things that have been said and stuff about him, and you know things that have happened. But as a tag team and as the APA, I thought he was super, really, really cool. His clothesline from hell is
one of the best.
One of the, if not the best.
If not the best, yeah.
And is
Stan,
one of
Stan Hansen's the only person who's better, and it's like an homage to Stan Hansen.
Exactly. Believe it or not, the clothesline from hell is possibly my top 5 favourite finishers because it just looks horrible.
Yeah.
And Bradshaw's such a big guy. Like you see it when like the cruiserweights do clotheslines, and obviously sell it more where they're kind of flipping over and stuff. But Bradshaw's a massive, massive guy. And
the thing was when
the size of the guy he was hitting, it would look just as impactful. They'd sell it just as hard.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. Really, really cool. And then on the other side of that is Farouk and his spine buster. And I always remember his spine buster, side from, I don't know, Arn Anderson, was one of the best looking spine busters I'd seen. And again,
they're both different though, weren't they? Like Farouk literally, he just kind of caught them in the air and with one hand and just went fuck off.
That's what I like cool. I love the plant of the hand, just like swatted them like fuck you. And that's what I thought was awesome. Like really, really cool. But yeah, they were excellent. They had obviously matches, plenty of matches. I don't ever recall any like real standout matches. But I just remember always really, really enjoying them, and this kind of like no nonsense approach to their matches. Just come in, like just fucking kick ass, take names, and fuck off to the back and drink some more beers. And like people coming in and kind of like like hiring them out as their kind of their muscle and stuff like that. I remember for a little bit, Jacqueline was involved with them as well, and she was back there. And I was watching Mania 17 the other day, and it was in Texas at the Astrodome. And Bradshaw does this whole speech before where he's like, you know, we're in the goddamn Astrodome, and starts mentioning all these various people and the pops and stuff like that are going off in the crowd. And he's just like, we're here to fucking, you know, kick some ass and this, that, and the other. And he just slams the cars down on the table, and they're like, right, yeah, let's fucking go. And they just get out there. But yeah, Acolytes for me, APA, definitely in my top 3.
That's a shout. Yeah. Well done.
Very, very good. Yeah, they were always they kind of remind me of the Road Warriors. Like even the music, like with the whole just the heavy guitar riff. Yeah, well, like it's like pounding. Yeah, to the point where it's like, oh fuck, business picking up here.
That was the other thing I forgot to mention. Actually, their music's fucking excellent as well.
Yeah, it's dead basic, but it's like
effective.
You know, straight away. Shit's going down here when it hits.
Someone's getting a fucking clothesline.
back in like the Attitude Era as well, like when they would come out, they get a fucking huge pop for doing it.
Massive. Yeah.
Like it'd be like, shit, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the APA.
Yeah, man.
No arguments from me there.
Standout matches when they kill Public Enemy.
God, yeah.
They did have a decent match with Edge and Christian, actually, at a Fully Loaded 2000.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. See?
I recall
my favourite pay-per-view.
Yes.
We just went for 2 completely different things there.
Throwback from last week there.
Jay, your second tag team.
Okay. So I'm going to go with FTR.
Oh, hello.
/ The Revival. And the reason behind that is because
he's an AEW mark.
Well,
Metal Black.
We'll see. They're just an old school throwback of a team. Like you look at teams like that they're inspired by, like the Brainbusters, the Steiners, and they're very good at really bigging up the importance of tag team wrestling. So the whole thing in AEW at the moment, where they said they in their contract all the matches have got to abide by tag rules.
Yeah. Holding the rope and stuff like that.
On the rope, only one interference, and they big that up on Twitter by like tweeting about the tag rules and all stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So there's that, but then when they need to, they're very good at kind of gelling with teams of today, where there's a lot of like faster paced teams like the Young Bucks, the Jurassic Express, a couple more. I can't think of something yet, but it goes to the match that I'd recommend anyone to watch, which is the whole feud with DIY. The 2 out of 3 falls match they had in particular.
Awesome.
Was incredible. That's the match that got me to fall in love with the Revival / FTR.
Yeah.
And DIY as well, but also to really appreciate tag team wrestling. I'd fell out of love with it for a long time.
But you don't get a chance to enjoy it much in WWE.
Exactly.
They don't put anything
because
on it.
WWE treats it as an afterthought and like an inconvenience.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Like, I'm not a fan of tag team matches, but when it's done properly, it's fucking awesome.
So good.
And they're really good at like dividing the ring and like making lots of quick tags, doing lots of double team moves.
Yeah.
One thing they've been doing recently in AEW, which I think it's brilliant, is they'll hit like a lot of double team moves that you would have saw like the Steiners hitting and the Brainbusters hitting. Like they're finishing. They've got 2 finishes now, which one's obviously the Shatter Machine, which is kind of like a 3D, but instead of a cutter, it's a code breaker.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I can't remember what we call it, but it's a spike pile driver basically, which is a big one.
Something along the lines of the head fucker. That's what we're going for. Something along the lines.
Oh, it's the mind breaker.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
And it just looks horrible when they do it. But yeah, like they're just a really nice sort of blend of traditional throwback tag team wrestling. But changing it up to meet like today's kind of style. And it works so well with like a lot of high flying teams. As I said, they're just, but at the end of the day as well, they're just a pair of fucking bruises.
Yeah.
They're not the biggest guys, but they're
I was going to say, they're not particularly big, but like they'd absolutely mess you up. Like, I mean, they're big guys, obviously, but they're not like, for guys that hit as hard as they are and as physical as they are, you typically see that from like taller, bulkier tag teams like AOP and stuff like that. But because they're so technical and they've got that kind of throwback kind of feel to them, they get away with being a bit smaller and stuff. And yeah, they're really, really good. And like you say, I think the match that got me into them as well would have been the stuff with DIY and NXT. And I think similarly, I didn't really give tag team wrestling much of a chance, and then started to watch NXT a bit more and saw that they kind of treat the tag team division a bit better there. And although they are the ones that kind of made me appreciate tag team wrestling a bit more, I didn't like them at first. I was just like, really, guys, like they didn't really have much to them. And I think because they were like against DIY, and I knew a bit more of DIY, and I kind of liked their style, I didn't pay the Revival much mind.
Well, you're not meant to like them. You're not meant to.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like they started off like feuding with teams that like were really, really babyface, like Endo and Cass. Think they took the tag belts off the Vaudevillains, if I remember rightly.
Or was it American Alpha?
Yeah, American Alpha.
They lost them to American Alpha and won them back off American Alpha.
Yeah.
And those matches as well are phenomenal. Like, they're really good. American Alpha are a tag team that got split up way too soon.
Oh, I was gutted when that happened.
They were unreal. They were so
really,
good.
Really good. For a while, there was kind of, because I think it was when they brought Kurt Angle in as like the general manager, didn't they? And for a while, people were just like, oh, they're going to bring back like what was
Team Angle?
Team Angle, that was it.
World's greatest tag team.
And then they ended up just doing a stupid Angle with Jordan being his son.
Which I called the week before.
Jason, I am your father.
on a Facebook group we're all a member of. The week before, I said they're going to fucking make Jason Jordan his son, aren't they? It's going to be fucking stupid.
Oh, man.
And they did.
The less
and
so
I was
about
like,
that, the better.
why did I fucking say that?
Yeah.
But yeah, like FTR, they're just...
Great shout.
So good.
Mm.
And they're just getting better now because they're in a company that gives a shit about tag team wrestling.
Yeah.
And they're slow building up the match with the Young Bucks, which they've been tickling the balls for fucking ages.
Nice. Aaron, your second choice.
You know what? I'm going to keep that one last. Right.
These are in no particular order.
These are in no particular order.
Although you clearly have an order now, don't you?
I deliberately put one last when I was looking between the other two because of...
Right, well, I'm deliberately putting the middle one last because you all love it. So, my favourite tag team of all time is, it should be an obvious choice, it's a D-Generation X.
Hey,
right?
Nice. Of course it is.
Of course
it is. That's the original iteration.
Well, I was going to say, yeah.
Shawn and Triple H.
/ the comeback one, which was shit.
Well, there was two comebacks.
Yeah.
So, in 1997 and 98, basically Shawn Michaels having a rivalry with Bret Hart. And then Triple H is his best pal anyway, so they decide, let's form a team. Why not? I'd do the same if I had a best friend at my workplace, just form a team.
You'll do.
At the time, Shawn was double champ, European and WWE. So then there was a match where they were forced to fight each other. Shawn lied on his back. Triple H pinned him. Here you go, pal. Hey, my title. Fair enough.
Which, funnily enough,
keeps you going.
WWE gloss over that. But
yeah.
They'll bring up the finger poke of doom at any fucking given opportunity.
Aye.
Even though WWE did it fucking first.
Yeah.
And then all that build up to Mania 14, Shawn Michaels and Triple H having digs at everyone possible, from Sergeant Slaughter to Vince McMahon to Stone Cold, just all the way until Shawn Michaels retires, is amazing, moment. And then obviously Shawn returned in 2002 briefly to reform them, and then it turns into a whole big rivalry between Triple H and Shawn Michaels for years to come.
It's like a fucking blood feud.
Oh, it was great. I loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was.
2006, you've got the actual comeback, the first one, where this is my element of DX.
I remember watching live that reforming, staying up to watch it, and waking up the fucking house when Triple H come out.
Shawn Michaels had been having arguments with Vince McMahon for months now, and then the Spirit Squad were attacking him. Shane McMahon was attacking him, and then I think Vince McMahon has a backstage promo with Triple H and says something to him, and Triple H got rubbed up the wrong way.
Doesn't he ask Triple H to help out or something like that?
Yeah, it's something along them lines. So then Triple H shows up, pretends to be on their side, and then just turns and smacks everyone. So it's DX versus the world now. And then that would be the middle-aged men. That was my DX, just the middle-aged dads that just run around doing dad jokes, taking over the producers' lot and everything.
Yeah, Vince loves cock.
Yeah, it was good. Really, really, really good. That first kind of reunion bit was superb.
That did give us DX dressing up as Vince and Shane as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic.
Shawn Michaels doing the Shane McMahon dance.
Yeah, I was about to say when he's dancing around Triple H and Triple H just goes, "Stop it!"
Hey. In that 2006 run, there was shit coming through the roof. There was slime coming through the roof. Putting Shane McMahon's face in Vince McMahon's arsehole.
It was just before
and Vince McMahon's
PG,
arsehole in Big Show's. Vince McMahon's face in Big Show's arsehole.
Yeah, it was just before they went PG, so they had a bit more sort of license to be DX.
Yeah. And I've literally got the note at the bottom. Let's not talk about 2009 because that was pretty naff. So,
you mean you don't want to talk about Little People's Cuff?
No, I don't.
Oh wow!
No.
Yeah, it was hot garbage.
Yeah,
hot garbage.
DX, if you're into really shitey, cheesy humour,
PGDX should never have happened.
No. 2006 is my preferable, but 1997, 98 is also very, very good.
Awesome. Good choice. Good choice. Now, which one to go for next? They're not in an order, but now you've done it. I feel I have to put these last in.
Go for the better one last.
I will mention a couple of my honourable mentions. The Usos were in there. Legion of Doom, Road Warriors, the Hardy Boys.
This is where Troy says ours.
The Hardy Boys, honourable mention. And I also had the Wild Samoans in there as well as an honourable mention. Just two guys that didn't need to say a word, but were just batshit mental and really fucking hard.
Scary bastards.
Yeah, but they were on my honourable mentions. However, the second of my top three, I'll go for Harlem Heat.
Oh, that's a tasty one.
I loved Harlem Heat. Now, again, I can't tell you like specific standout matches, but I just remember really enjoying watching them. I can tell you two that were
fucking amazing. They had one with Legion of Doom, and they had one with the Steiner brothers, and both were fantastic. Okay. Harlem Heat were very, very, very close to getting on my list.
Really?
So they're in my honourable mentions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I loved Harlem Heat as a kid.
They were cool, man. Like up until recently, like they were still wrestling as a tag team. I think for Booker's like independent company.
They almost did a match with the Revival in WWE this year.
There was talk of it at the Rumble.
This fucking year.
Yeah, there was talk of it at the Rumble because I remember me and Aaron. Well, I was certainly really excited because we're like, it's in Houston, like Booker T's in Houston, and there was talk about it. And weren't the Revival trying to tease it as well? Like,
yeah, and then on the pre-show of the Rumble, the Revival cut a promo on Booker T.
Really?
To set that match up, and then Vince just lost interest in them again.
Oh, man. See, I didn't see the pre-show. Obviously, we were there, so we didn't see the pre-show. I still haven't gone back and watched the full pay-per-view. I know we touched on this when we were talking before about sort of pay-per-view stuff and how, like, going back and watching it kind of on the network doesn't spoil it, but just, like, having that memory of just being there.
Doesn't feel the same.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember being super excited for the potential for them to kind of have a match at the Rumble. But yeah, I loved Harlem Heat. Their music was fucking awesome. Like really, really good. Booker T was like clearly I say charismatic, but he was really
the Shawn Michaels of the two.
Yeah. Like quite captivating, like listening to what he said, really, really good on the mic. And Stevie Ray just like absolute muscle, like absolute unit.
Oh, he's a powerhouse.
Yeah, they had some questionable attire over the years. There was the red one that kind of came up with the thing in the middle and the straps, and there were some awkward outfits. But yeah, that can be excused because they were just really, really good. I loved them. They were brilliant. It's a shame we never kind of got to see them like a bit later on as Harlem Heat, kind of WWE, WWF later on. But
well, they fell out, didn't they, for years?
Yeah.
And like the only thing that got them back, like on speaking terms, was Booker T asking Stevie to induct him into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. It's a shame that we didn't see that like kind of when Booker came over. But then Booker had like a really decent singles career like later on. WWE did, and then transitioned over into WWE. I still don't feel like
WCW tried to do, wasn't it, as well? So, like they had Booker T as like a mid-card guy, on his own, and then they put him back with Harlem Heat. I remember when they like reformed. Like, yes,
yeah, man,
look, Harlem Heat.
Yeah. But yeah, they're definitely in my top three. Awesome tag team. And it's nice to hear they nearly made your top three, certainly as an honourable mention. I thought I was going with. I wasn't trying to intentionally pick curveballs, but I thought, they might have been overlooked by some people, but clearly not, Jay.
No, I love Harlem Heat.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'll go through my honourable mentions very quickly. So, obviously Harlem Heat, I've just said. I also had the Usos on there and the New Day. Edge and Christian and DIY as well.
Okay.
Saying there's a few bigger names we've missed out here, but it's just our preference and us trying to not pick the obvious ones as well, so we don't all pick them. But
so I did have Edge and Christian on this list until about half an hour before we started recording today, and I'd just been watching through Road Warrior matches, and I come across this team. They say all teams are created equal, but you look at this team and you look at Samoa Joe, the Steiners.
Yeah. Wow.
I was going to go full Steiner at them, but I couldn't be honest. I lost commitment to it. I was like, they were just so ahead of their time. When you think they were both they weren't the tallest guys, but they were big fuckers.
Units.
Suplex everybody everywhere, every way possible, folding people up like accordions.
At the beginning, they didn't even really say much, did they? They were just wrestling machines.
But again, going back to the Road Warriors, when I first got into wrestling, them being the ones that sort of stood out. Another team was the Steiners, because they wear the bright coloured singlets. Rick Steiner had the wrestling headgear on and the big handlebar mustache. I was like, oh, that's different. Obviously, as well, Scott Steiner just busting out Frankenstein. I was like, there was nothing in it. Did it fucking effortlessly.
Dishing them out like hot dinners.
Yeah. So, as I say, they're just so ahead of the time. And I think that was one of the downs. I love Scott Steiner anyway. He's awesome. But one of the downsides of him going on that singles run where he became a world champion was we didn't really get the Steiners again. They did bits, but
not properly.
It was shit. Because Scott couldn't do half the shit he did because he just become a meat castle.
This term features a lot.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites. My match to watch for them is against the Road Warriors at Starrcade 89. It's a real passing of the torch match. It's so good.
Really?
And it's just two of my favourite tag teams just fucking knocking bells out of each other. It's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Love the Steiners. Great.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Really, really good shout. Aaron?
Ready. Oh, I'm ready. Right. So, as I've said, not the biggest tag team fan.
The Proclaimers.
But oh, right. So, this has got a place in my heart very heavily, this tag team. Honourable mentions to M&M because they are highly underrated.
True.
Very good tag team.
And I also had KMV X-Pac before I went on Hangman and Omega.
Okay.
Yeah. So, best team minus DX, right?
Is it Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler?
Fuck, you got... No, it's not. It's not.
Go on.
Shawn Michaels and John Cena.
Oh, okay.
Go on.
Now...
Did not see that coming.
New Year's Revolution 2007, Triple H gets injured, pedigreeing either Orton or Edge through the announce table, and he tore his quad again, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So he got injured. So what Shawn Michaels going to do? He's going to go straight to the main event, because that's where he should be. So then get second place in the Rumble after one of the best finishes in Rumble history with The Undertaker. And then he has a number one contenders match on Raw with Edge and Orton, triple threat, wins that. And then Edge and Orton batter him. John Cena comes out to help out. So then, because Edge and Orton are tag team champs, they go, all right, Cena and Shawn Michaels, Edge and Orton, get on with it, tag team titles. Shawn Michaels and Cena win. And then we get to Mania. The main event, the most underrated main event in Mania history as well. Very underrated. Shawn Michaels and John Cena, tag team champions, against each other for the WWE title. And this is the match where it started off as the whole, if John Cena's only good when you have someone in the ring that's good with him. That's how that all started.
Right.
And then the night after, it would be a case of, I still hate you. I want
Who won
shot.
that, by the way? Sorry.
Sorry, John Cena won it.
Okay.
But it was a good, 25 minutes, half an hour match.
Great match, that.
Okay.
Blood. I'm saying blood like that's the main component here. No.
Gore.
Very, very technical match. Very good.
Which Mania was this at again? Sorry.
23.
23. Okay.
All grown up.
Very good Mania, actually.
Yeah. The whole thing.
Match, and that's fantastic.
Sweet.
So
yeah, night after.
The night after, Monday after Mania, Shawn Michaels won and John Cena want each other again to prove who the better man is. But then Jonathan Coachman, the dastardly bastard, goes, "Oh, you're tag team champions. You're not getting these two against each other again. They're going to be with each other in a 10-team battle royal." Oh, which includes King Booker and Finlay, the Highlanders, Rob Van Dam and Sabu. So it's a very mixed match of teams. It's basically any team possible that's in it. And then they go on to win that, and then they start squaring up against each other, all sweaty and everything. Coachman comes out again. Part 2, another 10-team battle. This one's got a lot better teams. It's got Miz and Johnny Nitro. It's got the Hardy Boys. It's got Lance Cade and Murdoch, London and Kendrick. So then the match goes about halfway through, and then Shawn Michaels, I can't remember who he super kicks, but he super kicks someone over the top rope, saving John Cena, basically. John Cena goes, "Oh, cheers," and then Shawn Michaels goes, "Watch your back." Instantly throws John Cena over the top, walks away, and goes, "I've had enough of this." Interview later, and it's just a case, I don't want Cena to get mixed up. I want that WWE title. So then this would basically, Shawn Michaels never got another title match, but it would give you the 45-minute main event of Raw a couple of weeks later.
It was an hour, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, an hour. I can't remember what it was.
They went an hour because it was they were meant to have 2 matches, Edge and Orton and Michaels and Cena. And Randy Orton had been Randy Orton and got sent home from the European tour that afternoon for trashing a hotel room. It's not like him, I know. But yeah, so basically they didn't have anything to fill this fucking segment with because it was filmed in London. So when you say afternoon, the show's starting in a couple of hours. So they just stretched Shawn and Cena out for the last hour of Raw.
Bloody hell.
And it's still considered to this day
incredible.
The best main event of Raw in history.
Really?
Still considered, yeah.
Definitely up there. Definitely in the arguments. Yeah. I'd agree with you there. Yeah, and didn't they do that Fatal 4-Way at Backlash, which was...
Yeah, in between, the 4 of them, Edge and Orton.
Which was the 4 of them.
Yeah.
Nice. And the finish to that's fantastic.
Just Edge and Orton, kudos to her, in the final 4 of the Royal Rumble as well. It's all evolved around these 4 men, but because they're tag team champs, it's got a bit of an extra thing to it as well. It's just one of them stories I absolutely love, of just 2 guys, and then John Cena. No one really liked him at the point. It was the whole beginning of the Cena sucks.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels getting the main event of WrestleMania. Oh. Shawn Michaels and John Cena is my last pick.
Interesting choice, but a good one. I can see why. Is it me or is it you, Jay?
I've done my last one. It's you.
Yeah, it's you.
Have you?
Your last, yeah.
My last one was the Steiners.
Oh, My bad. Well, in that case, my last one is the Dudley Boys. It was a tough call. It was between the Dudleys and the Hardys, and that's why Hardys get the honourable mention. I just thought the Dudleys were just, for a while, a bit stupid, and that's why I like them. And then they went quite serious, and then I really liked them. They were when I saw their early stuff, they were my kind of introduction to like hardcore wrestling, if you like, a lot of their ECW stuff. And the whole kind of like, they're brothers, but they're not brothers, obviously. But just bought into that when I was young.
They have the same mum, I think it was. Dad?
Yeah.
Of course they do.
It was one of the two, yeah. They had the same mum and dad.
But that whole thing where, like, and being younger and seeing that and being like, they're not brothers. But then it would always play off like, me and like some friends at school would always just be like, yeah, like we're brothers. Clearly not. But if the Dudley Boys can do it, then we can do it, and we're brothers. And so they just cracked me up, and I thought they were really, really cool to watch. Obviously, like highlight matches to watch, we all know TLC, which is fucking incredible. But yeah, they were cool. And then I remember they had like the split, like the roster split, didn't they? And they broke them up, and Devon went off to become Reverend Devon, which I thought was hilarious. And he did his whole testify thing. And to this day, me and my friend Luke still, if we see each other out in a pub or wherever it is, we'll always greet each other with testify, but we'll scream it. We'll scream it across a pub. We won't know that like each other's there, and you'll see it behind the bar, and it'd be like testify, and we'll do it and just part the seas of people to do the handshake, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are these guys doing?" Like, you don't know the Dudley Boys, and get out. We've done that for about 15 years or so.
Wow.
But yeah, they were really, really cool. Like I said, they had their split. Was it Batista? Like his kind of debut was with Devon.
Deacon Batista,
that was it. And then I always thought, obviously, of the two on the mic, Upper Ray was the better of the two, and arguably I think I preferred him in the ring, although I found Devon amusing.
Bubba would do
bars though.
Yeah, Bubba would do a lot of the talking. He would do a lot of talking, and Devon would do his little catchphrase at the end. Yeah, basically, is how it worked.
Yeah.
When you were in TNA, though, Devon had a couple of promos. It was like, fucking hell, where was this?
What I was going to move on to was then their stint in TNA, which I enjoyed just as much. And then that's when I kind of focused a bit more on Devon and was like, oh, okay, he can really cut like a decent promo. And they were obviously a different team to what they were in WWE, I guess. And then obviously the whole was it Aces and Eights, that faction sort of thing. And I like that idea of kind of like a biker gang faction. And it was nice to see that kind of like evolution of them as characters, going from like the tie-dye like shirts and stuff like that, and then into kind of like the camouflage, and then, you know, into the biker gang sort of thing. But yeah, they were awesome. Just really enjoyed watching. I remember they jumped on that whole "what's up" gimmick when they used to do the flying, like the headbutt with the legs. It was ridiculous, but that's why I like them. And like, wrestling's meant to be fun. It's meant to be entertainment. And that for me was just pinnacle entertainment. I thought they were superb. So yeah, that's my my final pick.
They were definitely one I, again, wanted to put in mine. Wanted to put as like an honourable mention at very least.
Yeah.
I love the Dudleys. A match actually that I always go back to for them is the tag team tables match they have with the Hardys at the Royal Rumble 2000.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Such a good match.
Or just see a Mae Young get put through a table. Take your pick.
Or that.
And then that craze look in his eye just afterwards.
Yeah. They had a really good match at One Night Stand as well against the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, okay.
That was really good. The finish was basically them just powerbombing Tommy Dreamer through a flaming table like they used to do back in ECW.
Yeah.
Yeah, no argument for me. That was fantastic. I love the Dudleys.
Awesome.
It did remind me, with you saying TNA as well, of another honourable mention, which none of us have said, being Beer Money Incorporated.
I was just about to say Beer Money almost made. Yeah, they were just outside my honourable mentions, but they were a consideration at one point.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Awesome. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed that. Definitely do more of these again.
We'll watch some tag team wrestling.
Yeah, man. Thank you for listening, as always, people. Hit us up on the social media if and when you get a chance. We'll be doing more of these, and hopefully we'll invite you in to share with us some of your favourites, and we can discuss those in more detail. But yeah, hit us up on Twitter at Untitled Rest Pod, and on Facebook at Untitled Wrestling Podcast. Yeah, thanks again, and we'll catch you soon.